Welcome to Rathalos Watch. This is the 26th episode of Shoot X Monster Return to Monster Hunter Wilds. In this episode, I will be discussing the ferocious bull, Banbaro, from Monster Hunter World Iceborne. As always, we'll delve into the monster in greater detail, covering its first appearance, overall reception, memorable aspects, visual design, combat style, and ultimately, whether it should return to Monster Hunter Wilds. We'll explore how Capcom could potentially bring back the monster, what they should or shouldn't change, what new interactions they could implement, and how the monster could fit into the next generation of Monster Hunter in terms of mechanics and design philosophies. If you've been enjoying this series or want more hardcore coverage of Monster Hunter Wilds, then don't forget to subscribe, and also feel free to join our Discord and speculate about Monster Hunter with passionate fellow hunters. Link is in a pinned comment. Without further ado, let's begin. Banbaro is classified as a brute wyvern and was first introduced in Monster Hunter World Iceborne when it came out on September 6, 2019 for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and then later for Windows on January 9th, 2020. For those who do not know, Iceborne was the G-Rank expansion for Monster Hunter World. If you ever wanted to fight a monster that had the closest resemblance to a bull or a moose, then Banbaro was it. Granted, we did have Duramboros, who was also a bull-like creature who was introduced in Monster Hunter Portable 3rd, but in my opinion, he was more of a ram than anything else in terms of visuals. I will cover Duramboros separately in a future video. It's also worth noting that Banbaro only made an appearance in Monster Hunter World Iceborne as far as the mainline titles are concerned. He also did make an appearance in the popular spin-off title Monster Hunter Now, and was added to the game in its very first major free update called Fulminations in the Frost. As far as his popularity goes, he was only voted 156th place in the Hunter's Choice for Top Monster during Monster Hunter's 20th anniversary. Some would argue that Rajang is the actual bull monster of the Monster Hunter franchise, but in actuality, he is just an ape that kind of behaves like a bull with lightning powers. Yes, I will do an episode of Rajang later down the line at some point. Banbaro can be first encountered in a 1-star Master Rank quest, Banbaro Blockade, in the Hoarfrost Reach. Despite the fact that Banbaro is an ice monster, he is an invader that can also make an appearance in the Ancient Forest, Elder's Recess, Coral Highlands, Wildspire Waste, and even Ron Vale, which in my opinion is extremely out of place and completely stupid. I really do not like the fact that Banbaro is an invader. Personally, it ruins the fantasy of this monster for me. Also, he gains different elements depending on the locale he's in. Yes, that means he can give you the Effluvium ailment if you come across him in the Ron Vale. He is weakest to fire and dragon element. Banbaro can range from the smallest gold crown size of 2,164.36 centimeters to the largest gold crown size of 2,957.95 centimeters. Hunters may break its horns and legs. The tail can also be severed and carved for materials. So what makes Banbaro memorable, and does he have any redeeming qualities for his return to Monster Hunter Wilds? I personally like Banbaro for the fact that he is truly the only real bull in the game that acts like one. I also find it really cool that he can literally ram hunters, and he spray with massive trees using horns. I also find it interesting that Banbaro is a fairly docile herbivore. However, he will get aggressive if taunted and is territorial as well. Basically, he just likes being left alone. I believe a lot of people remember him though for the fact that he invades every single locale in the existence of Monster Hunter World Iceborne. Many people do not really like this aspect, and neither do I. I find it rather odd that a snow-themed monster with white fur just randomly appears in a hot area like the Wildspire Waste. It completely breaks the immersion and makes you question how this ice creature is able to live and hunt others in a hot climate. I am not 100% sure what Capcom was thinking exactly when making him an invader that appeared in every single locale. Very dumb decision if you ask me, and completely ruins the vibe of the monster, which is unfortunate because I do like him as a monster. Last but not least, most people also remember him as somewhat the first true interesting and memorable Monster Hunter World Iceborne monster since you fight him early on. On top of that, after fighting the utter trash bag that is known as Gyrototos 2.0, or otherwise Gyrototos, hunters needed a monster that would cleanse their memory and the PTSD of the awful experience, and Banbaro was the one who saved them from insanity. Now it's time we discuss Banbaro's visual design, and after that we will delve into his combat mechanics. Banbaro is a massive brute wyvern with a heavy muscular build. Most of its body is covered in thick white fur, while its head, legs, and arms are protected by gray scales. Its most iconic feature is its massive horns, which are pinkish in color and resemble large moose moose antlers. When it gets enraged, a small horn-like projection on its snout unfolds, making it even more intimidating. As for combat, he likes to dig up a bunch of soil debris from the ground and then roll it up into a ball and then smash it with it. He can even send stones flying straight to your face with his moose-like antlers, dealing a lot of damage. His most signature move is the one where he digs up a tree and then tries to ram you with it. This one has quite a large hitbox, since the tree is much wider than Banbaro's himself, so you better run fast and as far as possible. Sadly, Banbaro's does not have a subspecies variant or any sort of a deviant. However, that does open up the possibilities of a new subspecies for him in future titles if Capcom decides to go that route. With his visual design and combat style out of the way, we now should ask ourselves if it's worthy for Banbaro to return to Monster Hunter Wilds. In my humble opinion, I would really like to see him again, assuming that there is a snowy locale. However, if Capcom does bring Banbaro back, then he needs to have one major change. Otherwise, it wouldn't be worth having him. Dear Capcom, please make sure he is not an invader ever again, and don't have him appear in any other locales in Monster Hunter Wilds other than a snowy region. As I said earlier, it just didn't make any sense having him in Wildspire Vase or the Ron Vale. It looked really out of place, stupid, and immersion breaking. Keep him where he belongs. Now, if you were to introduce a subspecies, that is a different story that I'm completely up for. Maybe we could have a volcanic fire themed Banbaro that hangs out in fiery regions, or a subspecies that chills out in the Scarlet Forest that resembles more of an elk or something. It would also be nice to give his subspecies a big visual change for his horns to have it stand out more. I think his mechanic of digging up trees should be kept and expanded upon as well. Maybe his fire subspecies would dig up boulders instead of trees, since there are usually no trees in regions like that, or perhaps they could also implement something new for his moose-like antlers. I am hoping Banbaro returns because he was missing in Monster Hunter Rise and Sunbreak. He wasn't a part of base world either, so I love to see how he would look in Wilds, and I think his ecology would work really well, assuming that they get rid of the whole invader trait. Do you fellow hunters believe that Banbaro is a good fit and deserves to return to Monster Hunter Wilds, or would you rather see something completely fresh and new? How do you see him interacting with other monsters? Let me know your thoughts in the comments and tell me which monsters you'd like me to cover in future episodes. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit like and subscribe with notifications turned on. Peace out and happy hunting.